Thank you, Jordan, and thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I know there's a soccer team that has a 8 o'clock kickoff, so fellas, if you leave in the middle of the speech, that's quite all right. And good luck tonight. I won't be there to cheer you on and fill out the game sheet. Members of Parliament, Scott, Sean, Lawrence, and Wayne, provincial members of the Legislative Assembly, I'm proud and honored to say that there's too many of you here for me to mention you all by name. Ladies and gentlemen, Liberals all, first of all, I want to express my thanks to each and every one of you for coming here tonight. I know there's a lot going on in town. There's some stiff competition from the event over at the Civic Center, and I very much appreciate the fact that you've chosen to be here. Let me start by saying how proud and humbled I am to accept the Liberal nomination for Charlottetown. It's been just over 4 months since I announced my intention to seek this nomination, and for me and my family, it's been a busy and exciting time. Over that period of time, I've had a chance to talk to many of you and other members of the party. I've also had an opportunity to talk to many residents about their issues and concerns. For me personally, it's been very rewarding to get out into the district and to meet and talk with so many people about the challenges and opportunities that we have in Charlottetown. You know, when we look at our computer screens and our television sets and see the turmoil and strife that so many in other parts of the world are facing on a daily basis, we are reminded of just how lucky we are. We see people in too many places suffering from the effects of war or famine or disease or poverty, and too many of these people lacking basic human rights. In Afghanistan, we see brave Canadian men and women serving our country with honor and distinction under dangerous and difficult circumstances, literally putting their lives on the line so that we can have a safer world and that the people of Afghanistan can have an opportunity for a better life. And when we see and hear and read about all of these things going on in the world, we are reminded again of our good fortune to live in a country like Canada and in a province like Prince Edward Island. We are lucky and fortunate for many reasons, but a great deal of our good fortune comes from the foresight of our ancestors, who managed to overcome many challenges and create a country that remains a model for countries around the world and a beacon for immigrants seeking greater opportunity. Maybe it was because of the harsh climate, or perhaps it was because of the work ethic of our forefathers and their small number. But in Canada, we developed a very strong sense of community and a very genuine concern for the welfare of our fellow man that persists to this day. Here in Prince Edward Island, I never cease to be amazed at this level of generosity and compassion. How many times have we seen the community rally around someone who has fallen on bad times? But in spite of our relative good fortune, there are challenges. Over the past 4 months, I've talked to many residents who are worried about their job and about the economy in general. Neighbors who are concerned about access to health care, about the environment, and about the high cost of goods and services. In Canada, we are also seeing a continuing and widening gap between the rich and the poor. We see Canadians in the middle class getting squeezed by the pressures of providing for their children and also taking care of their aging parents. We see young people struggling to find work to pay off massive student debt. Young people who often, unfortunately, are choosing not to continue their education for financial reasons. Many feel that the Harper government isn't doing enough to help solve those issues. And they're right. Now, Sean and Scott and Lawrence and Wayne are obviously much closer to the action than I am. But what I see is a government that has broken faith with our shared history. This is a government that is more obsessed with tactics, politics, control, and secrecy than community and concern for our fellow man and generosity of spirit. Make no mistake, Canada is changing under Stephen Harper, and we are all worse off because of it. If we look to the most recent examples, we see one cabinet minister that alters documents and misleads Parliament, and another that attacks judges. We see a prime minister, when Canadians are struggling to recover from a difficult recession, who is focused on getting his jet repainted and on spending billions on prisons that we don't need, because the polls tell him that building more prisons is a popular idea in certain ridings in Ontario. I'm willing to wager that getting the Prime Minister's jet repainted isn't high on the list of priorities for Canadians. We all want criminals off the streets, but when the evidence suggests that there's better places to spend this money, we should be doing the right thing and not buying votes in central Canada. Make no mistake, Canada under Stephen Harper has taken a hard turn to the right. What we are seeing gradually is the Americanization of Canadian politics. I don't want that, and I know the people of Charlottetown don't want that either. I don't want to break faith with our forefathers. I want to live in a caring and compassionate country, a place that recognizes that government has a role to assist when times are tough. I want to live in a country where if you get the grades, you get to go. I want to live in a country where diversity and multiculturalism are celebrated, not attacked. I want to live in a country where public service is an important and respected calling. We've come a long way from the days when the focus of the federal government was on improving the lives of its citizens through important social programs like Medicare and employment insurance, or upon preserving fundamental human rights as expressed in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Too often, the current government wants to tear down instead of build up. There are lots of reasons to lose hope, to disconnect, to look inward, and to settle for less. But that's not the Liberal way. We don't give up, we pull together. We don't look inward, we reach out. We don't seek to divide, we're inclusive. Liberals don't say to parents of young children, here's a GST and a few bucks, good luck out there. Ken Dryden and the Liberal team listen to parents, listen to early childhood educators, and put together a national program with standards to ensure our youngest Canadians got a good start. Liberals understand what parents are going through. They reached out and said, let's pull together, let's support each other. How many of us know someone who has had to take time off work to care for an ailing family member? How many of us have not been able to do so or have spread ourselves too thin, trying to balance moral and financial responsibilities? The Liberal Party gets that. The Liberal Party has introduced a family care plan that will support families who support each other in tough times. That's the Liberal way. It's time to step back and re-examine our priorities as a country. What really matters to us today? What will best position us as a smart, compassionate society into the future? Is now the time to borrow money in order to be able to lower corporate taxes? Think about that. We're borrowing money to give it to corporations in the form of tax cuts. As a taxpayer, are you okay with that? No. You or your kids will have to pay that money back. Is that fair? No. My Liberal friends, Sean Murphy has done a tremendous job as Charlottetown's representative in Ottawa. And as I said when I announced my nomination at the Inn in the Hill back in October, you don't have to look far to see the results of his hard work. He has earned respect on the national stage as the Chair of Public Accounts. Sean is held in high regard by his peers. Quite simply, Sean Murphy oozes integrity. As much as he has accomplished, I think the most impressive thing is the way he's gone about his work. Sean is always accessible to his constituents. He works hard, usually behind the scenes in an understated way, to improve the lives of people in the district. He is everywhere. This past Saturday, I tried to keep up with him. It started at the farmers market. The afternoon was at a reception for the Korean War vets at the Legion. Then there was an international tea house at UPEI. Then there was the Richelieu Club casino night at the Carrefour. And I understand he took a stop into the track that I wasn't part of somewhere in between. And like a couple of other astute politicians, Joe Giz and Frank McKenna, he's decided to step down at the top of his game. So Sean, as inadequate as it seems, on behalf of all of those assembled here, I want to say thank you. Sean, thank you for your dedication to public life. Thank you for your commitment to the Liberal Party. And thank you for leaving the organization on such very sound footing. These are big shoes to fill, but I want to try. I want to represent this district. I want to build upon the strong representation that Sean has provided over the last 10 years. I want to work to make sure that the interests and priorities of the residents of Charlottetown are heard and respected in Ottawa. I want to play a role in changing the tone in Ottawa. I want to play a role in a new Liberal government that is focused on the issues that matter to Canadians, a government that honors the legacy left to us by our forefathers and mirrors the fundamental decency and compassion of Canadians. I want to follow in Sean's role and ensure that Charlottetown gets its fair share of Ottawa's attention. I expect that there will be an election called next month, and I'm proceeding on that basis. I take nothing for granted. Tomorrow I start door-to-door campaigning, and I'm going to make my first election promise tonight. I promise that I will not be outworked. It will not be easy, and I will need the help and support of each and every one of you. I am confident if we work hard with one common purpose, we will win this riding, and the Liberal Party will win the next election. Thank you very much.